in Tallinn, when Estonian Catholics will have the first, let's say, holy person, blessed Eduard Profittlich. We don't have any saints blessed from our history, so he will be the first one. And I know Catholic community is very proud of it and really love Eduard Profittlich, but I just make a small correction. It is not only our saint, but he's also from German Catholics, because he was born in Germany, West Germany, in the Diocese of Trier. Pretty soon I will show briefly his life. And for third thing, as you know, Catholic theology, we are not making saints for only one territory, but saints and blessed, they are all for the universal church. So we hope to do everything what we really can do, and we hope also divine providence to help that this future blessed Eduard Profittlich will be the patron of Estonia, and also will really be a heavenly voice for all Catholics who are praying through him to the Lord. I would like to tell you many things, but time is limited, and today I have chosen two parts. One is his life and martyrdom. Maybe somebody already knows that he died in Soviet prison camp. And second part of my presentation will be quite horrifying, not very nice as we usually know of the saint's life. And second part of presentation will be pretty practical to introduce a program of beatification and practical info who will come to Tallinn. Because you need to know, and it is always good if somebody is explaining and telling how to prepare spiritually and how practically really move and to take part of this Holy Mass, what will be on 17 May at 11 in Tallinn Town Hall Square. And it was for me something very unique, and it's very few to say just a big thing in my life. But when I started to do beatification, it really changed my life, and I really would like to share also a little bit this experience with you, and later on maybe you can ask questions, because I can tell that usually postulators and who are running beatification or canonization are religious, usually very high-level theologians or philosophers, and usually priests who are responsible for it. And as our Bishop Philippe Jourdain from Tallinn also says, like, that Marge is maybe the only one, the lay person who have been run this process. Somehow, maybe this beatification went very quickly because I was involved, and sometimes the Vatican doors are more open for women, and the respect is very big. But sometimes it is also I face some difficulties as I'm not being religious, because I know some postulators who are sisters, like Dominicans, Carmelite sisters, who run the process. But it was January 2017 when Bishop Philippe Jourdain invited me to his office and asked me one question. It was very strange because I have been worked for him some years, and usually he invites me to audience to speak about something. But this meeting was unknown. I was thinking, what I have done, what happened, what's going on? And Bishop asked me one question, do I speak Russian language? I said, what's going on? Yes, I can understand, and briefly, yes. And he said that, Marge, we need to now go forward with beatification of Archbishop Profittlich, because for apostolic administration of Estonia, it was given over from the Diocese of Moscow in 2014. Because just in the beginning, Eduard Profittlich was included to the program with other 15 martyrs, religious people who were killed during Soviet time in prison camps. But the Archdiocese of Moscow, they didn't have any materials. As a materials, only they had documents of Profittlich, and they knew there are more in archives. And then they decided in Holy See, the custody of the causes of saints, to give over the process to Tallinn and to go separately. But as you know, there are certain rules Holy See for postulators. The first rule: you should have a doctoral degree. You should know some Italian language, Latin, and so on. And then you can, and you should work. You should be a very close worker to the bishop, because there are some vows and secrets what to have. And then I was only candidate in Tallinn, and Bishop made a proposal to do it. In the beginning, I didn't understand for what. I said yes. And it is not only academic work, it is really spiritual work. And the first meeting was in Rome in congregation, and also with one very old priest, and he explained me what does it mean to make beatification process. And you should always keep in mind that you want somebody to be in heaven next to the Jesus Christ, because who are the saints? They are just looking face to face to Jesus Christ, and it is not like making a big event, and as I said, making academic work, no. And this old priest said me, you are always knocking on the heaven door. And it's a battle. You are making something very cool for Jews, but at the same time there will be some interruptions. And now I know this was true, and our process also stopped for, let's say, 2 years of the pandemic, because Vatican was mainly closed and so on. But thanks to the Lord, just nearly 1 month ago, and we will have a future blessed, and we are extremely happy. And we would like to invite all of you to Tallinn. And if you know people, a special Catholic community in Finland, please come and take part of this historic moment, because I don't know when last time was beatification or canonization in this region. Actually, I don't know, and we don't have officially declared saints in this region. It's quite unique. Fine, this is a small introduction. So I'm really excited to present this honorable man, because I didn't do only the process, but also I have met the relatives of Eduard Profittlich 3 times. I have been in his home villages and met people, and they also venerate a lot him. And I think pretty soon the Diocese of Tallinn will have a twin diocese at Trier, where he was born. And it personally really have been touched, and I hope the story what I'm telling now also touch you. And one practical information, I took only some copies, his biography in English, but if somebody would like to have, I can send it to you. I have PDF file, so don't be afraid to ask, or if you want to distribute with other people. So please be free to really ask me, because this is our task, to share this joy. About Eduard Profittlich, here is his official portrait when he became Archbishop, and also official picture for Beatification. There always should be official photo, and we have chosen this one. And maybe some of you know, or knew, let's say is more correct, Father Vello Salo, who was very like a treasure for Estonian Catholic Church, and he was also very close to me when he lived, and it was like his dream that Estonia will have in future blessed Eduard Profittlich, and he collected some materials about him and actually this picture is from his archive. I just got this picture from Bellosalo. And you see the birth year, 1890, and also he died in 1942. The year also says actually why, and he was pretty young man, 51 years old, the best age to actually really lead a church, but what to do? It was his destiny, but I think he's working now in heaven. I really believe, because now we have a diocese, before we were apostolic administration. And just small remark, if you know, English is not my mother language, and I'm more used to communicate in Italian language, so sorry for my English, but hopefully you understand quite well. He was born in Birastor, very small village. It's a street, home street, let's say. His home is not preserved. Time have done its job, but I have been. It's just around the corner. So there is a new house, and with the landlord for this new house, he said that we know the story of Eduard Profittlich, and this spring or summer they also make a bas relief to just memorize. And the village people, they are very proud that they have this kind of person, their village. And you know what they have done? They have named even a street, Eduard Profittlich Strasse, to Birastor village. And this region is very beautiful. And there is from this Rhineland comes very good wine actually also. And small hills and very romantic views you can see from his home village. And I think when I read his texts and articles, and when I make order Archbishop Profittlich Library in Tallinn, you have probably seen this John Paul II also, there is a library of Eduard Profittlich. He read poetry and literature, and it looks like me that maybe he had a little bit this romantic nature from his hometown, because it's really beautiful and breathtaking when you are looking some views from the hills. And his family, they had 8 children. Family was very devoted Catholics, Of course, he had a farm, and all children needed to work also for the farm, but father and mother also gave opportunity for young Eduard Profittlich to get very good education. And the first studies he did in Leimersdorf, which is like from his home 1.5 kilometers, very, very close. But Leimersdorf is also a pretty nice small village with a church. And actually in this Leimersdorf he took all the first sacraments. When he was born, the same day he was baptized. Later on, when he became a priest, immediately he went to his hometown, to Leimersdorf, to celebrate the first Mass, so he was very devoted to this region. And higher level, graduating elementary studies, in Leimersdorf he went to Linz. This is not Linz in Austria, just across River Rhine, nearly 10 or 15 kilometers away from Leimersdorf. He continued his studies, but on that time, nearly finishing studies, he thought maybe become a priest, but it was shock for the family because younger brother was a Jesuit, older brother was already a Jesuit, and next one again wants to be a priest, who is staying at home, making homeworks and keeping a farm, because next children were doctors. And but Eduard Profittlich thought, no, it is not like I'm following on the brother's steps. No, it is a call from the Lord. And he thought maybe I just try. Is this really my vocation? And he went to Trier, to seminary, and just in Trier, he really felt in heart that yes, God is calling and I need to become a priest. And on that time, it was very popular on this part of Germany to become a Jesuit, and he followed Jesuit formation in Herrenberg, and later on moved to the Jesuit college in Valkenberg. And these were quite famous colleges to get very good education. And he was very talented in languages. As I already mentioned, that he loved to read a lot. And he was pretty sure, yes, I would like to become a priest. But following years were very tragic, because when he was in Valkenburg, the war started. Mom died. Father became alone, all of the children and farm. And I have read some letters what he had been written to the father, supporting letters to support father during his time when mom passed away. And these are very, very deep and touched a lot. But he was sure, I need to follow on the footsteps of Christ. I don't leave. This is my way to go, and explaining the same senses to Father. But when the war started, then was a rule in Germany that young scholars they were not in battle. No. They stayed in the hospitals, and also Profittlich was just next to the border of Belgium in small war hospital, it's correct to say war hospital, and worked and helped dying people. And I can say from his spiritual part it was quite good formation, because being quite young, he faced already the works of mercy. And later on, I can just imagine when he was in prison, when every day somebody died, it was the same, how to encourage and support spiritually a dying person. So he didn't take part of battles and wasn't in war, but stayed in military hospitals to support dying people during the World War I. And finally, when war ended, he continued his studies in theology and philosophy in Valkenburg. And in 1922, he was ordained a Catholic priest in the same small city, Valkenburg. And as I said, just a couple of days later, he moved to Laimerstorp to celebrate the first Mass with relatives. And on that time, when he became a priest, you see 1922, if you know the history of Europe, he was thinking, okay, I'm a young Jesuit. Of course, he gave his last vows to Jesuits later, 1930, but he was thinking, I would like to be really a missionary priest, to go somewhere. And as he was very talented in languages, Latin, Greek, what was obligatory, Profittlich was sent to Krakow, to Poland, to make a doctoral degree. And in Krakow, young Jesuits were prepared for the East Mission, and especially prepared for Russia, because from the Pope, he saw that for Jesuit, it should be really a missionary country, Russia, on that time. And it was, I can tell maybe later on you can read from the book, because it was really a big question in Vatican that they wanted. There were quite a huge Catholic community in Moscow, and if the Jesuits are going as a missionaries, they can take care of the Catholics, and they can also be a missionaries and proclaim the gospel in Russia, because if you know the history, the Bolshevism had been mainly killed the society on that time in Russia. And as you know, also Jesuits who were very active in Asia and Latin America, they really saw maybe Jesuits are really the right person who can be the missionaries in Russia, where the Soviet system were really ruling. And Profittlich thought, okay, if it will be a God's will, then I will be a missionary in Russia. But he accepted, and okay, I study now theology and philosophy in a higher level in Krakow, and we'll see what will happen. And he passed all the exams in Krakow. He didn't study in Jagiellonian University. It was a Jesuit college, Ignatianum, another big higher institution in Krakow, and also quite famous one. Lots of Jesuits around Europe wanted to go to study there. And Profittlich also studied Polish language, and he thought maybe I'm staying in Poland. If the provincial really seeing that I'm staying in Poland, then I will stay. And after graduating doctoral studies, he stayed in a small town, Polish town, Czechowice-Dziedzice. Can I say the Polish names or not? Very familiar. Czechowice, yeah. And he thought, okay, maybe I shouldn't be a missionary in Russia. And I stay in Poland, and he loved to work youth. He made children camp with another priest. He organized youth camps, hiking tours, spiritual retreats for youth. I was very keen of working with youth. It was a new mission for him. And after this 10 months to be there, he was sent to Oppeln. Now it is in Polish territory. Before it was German territory, and became parish priest and stayed 3 years working, being very, very, very active. And later on, he moved to Hamburg. And why he moved? Because the Jesuits invited to Hamburg because there was quite big Polish community, and he studied Polish language, and they needed somebody who can understand Polish workers, especially workers and their families. And Profittlich stayed in Hamburg, also gave his final vows to Jesuit order, but then happened something. On the same time when he was in Hamburg, in Vatican was under discussion what we should do with Estonia, because Estonia is an independent country, and maybe some Jesuits again should go and develop the Catholic Church in Estonia as the Jesuits did before the Reformation started, because Jesuits were in Tartu before. And these discussions took nearly 2 years. And somehow, German provincial of Jesuit order thought, okay, Profittlich, in Estonia there is also a Polish community. Maybe Profittlich is young, active, would like to go to Estonia, and maybe again we should discuss about in future that when he is in Estonia, he can go to Russia, being a missionary priest. And in 1930, he was sent to Tallinn. He didn't know nothing about it. I don't know, this picture is on a train station, but in which train station, I don't know. I just put it here, should illustrate the way to Estonia. Actually, you see, he's laughing. He made a lot of jokes when he was young. He wasn't a very ordinary, very serious Jesuit. He laughed a lot. He liked dancing, because when he was young, the family members who had written some memories, old family members, and they have given their children these memories, have said that Profittlich was in every feast parties and village parties, and he was the last one who arrived in the morning to home. And then mom and dad were very angry, you know, we need to go now to the field and work and animals, but okay. He wasn't very official. Later on, becoming a bishop, of course, he was an authority in Estonia, but he was like a very, very open person. Okay. He came to Tallinn, and the situation what faced was pretty ugly, because in Estonia there were only 4 Catholic parishes. No Estonians at all in Catholic Church. Some Lithuanian families, some German, some Polish families. The biggest church situated in Narva, where were mainly Polish workers, and all the churches were very ugly conditions. I mean, not the spiritual sense, but really material sense. And Profittlich, arriving to Tallinn, thought what to do and how to build up the church. And he had some good contacts from Rome. He asked support from Jesuits, from the Pope, different institutions, to build up churches. And also he asked some books, breviaries, some materials, because his idea wasn't not only to build up the church by the stones, but also by people. And the first thing what he started to do was to study Estonian language, because he was smart. If you don't know the language, then people, they don't accept you. You need to know a language, and you need to be among people and really proclaim the gospel, and otherwise you are doing nothing, and why you are building up the churches. He studied language. He loved very much Estonian culture. In 1933, he already preached in Estonian language. Of course, he had assistant who made corrections in language. He established a newspaper, Catholic newspaper, started to write article, invited other priests, mainly from Poland, Germany, to serve in Estonia. And if I mentioned like 1930 in Estonia, there were only 4 parishes. Then 10 years after, 1938, were 14 parishes. So you can see 10 years he really built up the church. And the Catholic Church became quite popular among Estonians because he met a lot of people, and he knew quite a lot of families, and all these families whom he met were non-Catholics. And as he was a very sympathetic person and really had a lot of knowledges and had been quite a lot of experiences and very good education, and this was something very, very interesting for Estonians. One intellectual person comes from Germany to Estonia, and you can discuss in every topics. And that's why also Estonians started to become interested of Catholic faith and joined to the faith. And mainly during 1930s were Estonian converts who joined with the Catholic Church. And you see from 4 parishes to 14 parishes 10 years later. So, and of course, here is one datum, maybe it's worth to mention. 1933, he went to Rome and got also honor title from the Pope. That after 3 years, he had built up the church, had done so many works, and telling this news among the Estonians that somebody met the Pope and got a very high title, and he became more and more like an authority in Estonian society, and wrote a lot of other articles in social themes and moral themes in also lay media, not only publishing his newspaper. These are only some remarks of his life, and I can tell many hours, but you can understand already this was the reason why he was appointed bishop in 1936. And what maybe is good information for you, maybe you know that on that time your bishop Koben was also in Tallinn to have witness this historic event for Estonians. And I have read some materials, very few materials from Finland, but I know that several times Profittlich visited Helsinki and had a meeting with the bishop. Also when he wanted to go to Sweden to visit Jesuits in Sweden, he went through Finland, and but unfortunately there is not much facts and documents, but still it is like information. He communicated also Catholics in Finland. And maybe what is personally for me very important, and what is also written on title on this book is also that he took his apostolic motto, faith and peace. And this is a message what we are communicating also today when we are preparing the beatification, because this is really the message what we need today more as faith and peace. We really need it. And that's why if we are communicating through his apostolic mottos, his beatification, we expect also quite a lot of people who will come to Tallinn in May. Because you should later on maybe reflect more about this title, Faith and Peace. But it is really something. Okay, maybe you already know. I have thought, who was Eduard Profittlich? Cheerful, very active, and very loud person, and there is some stories that there was a family, this very young boy. Now, unfortunately, he passed away. He lived in Canada. When occupation started, Leon moved with the family to Germany and later on to Canada. And when he heard that beatification of Archbishop Profittlich is open in Tallinn, he was more than 90 years ago. He came especially to Tallinn to give the witness. He was 9 years old, but remember Profittlich, he remembered some aspects from the church life. And it was a very touching moment when we met this old man from Canada to speak about Profittlich and our history. And he thought that when he was a boy, and he remembered one man with like having a dress, black dress, long dress, and went to another room with the dad. And the dad said, "Now should be silent, boy. You know, we have a bishop in house, and he gives now a catechesis, and you go and play." But especially when you're telling with a 7-9 years boy, be silent and don't touch. Of course, he became very curious and listened something, and it was so nice to get and have these memories from this old man when he was very young boy during Profittlich lifetime. So, and it wasn't matter, are you Catholic or not, but he was open everybody. And he had always time to just visit families, to be present. Even, and I know today Bishop Philippe also said that I have a lot of duties to do, and I'm alone in Estonia for leading all Catholic community. But if somebody would like to have spiritual support, I find the time, because Profittlich did the same. And he is really example for me, because what is a priest's duty actually to do? To help souls. And this is maybe a small remark about him. But as you know, time changed very quickly in the end of 1930s. The political atmosphere were very tensive, and you know also probably the destiny of Baltic stages, how it was shared with the different interest groups. And Soviet occupation started in 1940, and of course, no religious freedom anymore. And the situation were pretty ugly. Like lots of Estonians moved away. Even Profittlich helped to move away some families who had some German or Polish roots, because he had quite a lot of information what probably will happen, because he had good connection with different embassies. He was Archbishop, you know. And on the same time, he saw what took place on the streets of Tallinn. Some were just shot down, some were deported somewhere. He heard the stories about the Soviet prisons in Tallinn, where people were arrested, and then later on moved to Siberia or somewhere. Because now we know and we really reflect from distance. We know what took place, but you can imagine the time when you are here in this room and you hear just somebody shutting down and you have heard there are some prisoners. It wasn't very public, but you knew something is going on. And German embassy really pressured Profittlich, you need to go away. You need to go away because you don't have future, or you are just, you will be killed. And the religious situation, yes, somehow churches were opened, but yeah, they were opened. But during the masses, spies were just listening. Spies were everywhere, looking and listening and writing down. And Profittlich also sent away, please go away, religious sisters. The priest, who he had been invited from Germany and Poland, and thought what to do, how I'm leaving my people. Still I have parishes, I have Catholic communities. And the German embassy pressured, you should go. And Profittlich was very obedient to the Pope, as he was a bishop. And he decided to write to Pope what to do, to stay in Estonia or to go away. On the same time, actually informed Vatican what is going on. I have seen all these letters and documents Profittlich wrote situation, and he even described to Pope that, you know, I cannot anymore celebrate Holy Mass because I don't have a wine and bread, and the Soviet state takes me all the money for the rent because they took all the buildings to the state, because all the buildings in Tallinn belonged to the state. Of course, you can celebrate the Mass, but you need to pay a tax, and tax was very high. It was incredibly high. And Profittlich also described, yes, I have some food and some priests who are with me. In Tallinn, they also have some food. People give some bread or something, but I really facing a problem. I cannot soon celebrate the Holy Mass. And taxes are very, very high. And also he describes the situation, what's going on, killing the people, deporting, and people are taken away from homes. He wrote several letters to Rome. At the same time, he decided, okay, no response from Rome, total silence. You can again imagine it is not like today we are sending email and getting response or something. The post moved very slowly, and you can understand we had also the Iron Curtain. We were completely cut from the Europe. And he went to the embassy, made a decision, I'm going away. I'm moving to Germany, and if the situation will change and coming better, I'm coming back to Estonia. And he prayed and said, if there is some sign from the Lord that I should stay in Estonia, then Jesus Christ, please give me the sign that I stay in Estonia. He went to embassy and started to look the documents, and he didn't have any documents with him. The documents were on table in his office, and then he knew, okay, I have a sign now, I should stay. But on the same time, again, it was pressured, no, you know, please go away, they are just killing you. A couple of days or something, they were killing. And finally, he got a response from the Pope, and Pope said, do as you wish, please, in the name of Lord, do what you really feel, what you need to do. On that time, he felt that I cannot go away. I cannot leave my people, I cannot leave my church. Where is actually the place for the religious? I need to be with my people. How I'm going away and looking at the distance, how the Soviets are killing my people here. And he made a decision to stay in Estonia. And if he will be deported to Siberia, he can be also useful for these people who are in labor camps in Siberia, because especially they need somebody who help spiritually during these difficulties what people faced in these very heavy jobs in Siberia. And he wrote a letter to relatives in Germany that he decided to stay in Estonia, not leaving to Germany, and please pray for me, and if I will be martyred, then my death will be as in Christ. I give my life to Christ, it is written. And he continued, of course, he also informed the Vatican, wrote to Pope again, that please, Holy Father, give me a blessing for my decision. I'm staying in Estonia, again describing the situation and informing Holy See what is going on in Estonia with Estonian people. And he got a response from the Pope, the blessing, and he stayed and continued everyday's duties. He went to Tartu. There was a kindergarten looking at the situation, what's going on with among Catholics, supporting and just doing everyday's duties, until one night was knocking on his door, and there were 7 Soviet soldiers, and he was arrested. And of course we have documents what took place with him on that moment. And the arrest was in June 1941. And I can say there was one miracle, but knowing Soviets and the history of Soviet Union usually didn't take place. Profittlich asked, is it possible to go to church to pray? Usually, you know, these Soviets said, no, just go and don't talk anything, or even using a physical violence. But it was allowed. For me, it is like a miracle. And 2 Polish sisters who were assistants for Profittlich lived next door to the cathedral. And they saw in the morning between 4 and 5 in June, it is quite light in the morning, and they saw something is going on in church. There is a light, and sisters ran to look, and they saw that Profittlich was just in front of altar, kneeled and praying, and then he stood up, and 7 soldiers with the big guns around him, and Profittlich just moved to the sisters, gave final blessing, and were taken away. This religious order is existing as a worldwide congregation of Holy Family, headquartered in Poland, and I am in contact. And these sisters, of course, have been passed away, but they wrote the diary, and all is written in diary. And that's why we know the last moments in Estonia of Eduard Profittlich. And next information is from August 1941, because when Estonia became independent in 1991, then Moscow sent some KGB documents to Estonia, and some documents from the prisons of Estonians who were killed or suffered. And one Catholic who studied history made his traineeship in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and his duty was to make order all these KGB documents. And finally he saw there are some names about Profittlich, but it was our bishop in Estonian time, and he gathered all documents And that's why we know this information, what took place in Kirov, and Profittlich were deported to Kirov. Yeah, for beatification, I also made research that family members brothers and sisters started to look what is the destiny of Eduard Profittlich. Estonian Catholics who were abroad, mainly in Germany or United States, also started to look what is the destiny of Eduard Profittlich. We don't know anything. It was in 1940s, 1950s, even 1960s. Holy See and Jesuits main Kuria also started to look information through Red Cross. What is the destiny of Eduard Profittlich? Is there some information? Nothing were written. Only in 1991, when Estonia became independent, from these documents which were delivered to Estonia, we got information what took place in Kirov prison. And maybe somebody know what was the system in Soviet prison camps. It was not only to listen what you are speaking, like question, answers, interrogatory protocols, what we have, question and answers. Or interrogatories took place during night. And when I look at the protocol, why Bishop asked me, do I understand Russian? Because I need to understand these documents for beatification. And the protocol was only 2-3 pages, but interrogatories took place like 5, 6, 7 hours during the night. It means that the Soviet mentality was like the first to destroy you morally and then physically. And when I'm looking at the first interrogatory protocol from Kirov prison, 2nd August 1941, Profittlich handwriting was pretty clear, but when I'm looking at the last one, it was very, very ugly. And you can imagine what they did with the prisoners. And it was like the system, what took place. Usually it was known that if you are religious, you will anyway killed, but first you need to morally destroy it. You need to think that you are not human being anymore. And from Estonia, lots of religious people actually were deported on the same prison. Lutherans, Lutheran bishop, Lutheran pastors, Methodists were deported to Kirov, and the same destiny, actually. And of course, Eduard Profittlich was sentenced to death in court. You mean the Soviet system also made a court that you are, really enemy for new Soviet system. And mainly what was this court said that you are fabricating some wrong information and making anti-Soviet propaganda in church, and that's all. And Profittlich made an appeal, wrote a letter. I haven't done nothing. What are you doing? I'm just preaching in church, but it does not make sense, of course. And his appeal was rejected, and Eduard Profittlich died in Kirov prison 22nd February 1942, before sentence could carried out. But it was also a method, very normal method in Soviet prison camps, because the prisoners were in common rooms, very small rooms, no heating, no food, nothing. And Estonian historians have been visited this Kirov prison camp before the war started in Ukraine. They have been in Kirov and researched the history of Kirov prison and destinies of Estonian people. And winter 1942 was extremely cold, -40, -45 degrees. It was extremely cold. And we are becoming freezing when outside is -5, but -45 and no heating only, but you are breathing, no eating, nothing. And it was just methods that every day hundreds died in Soviet prison camps. And we don't have a grave for Eduard Profittlich because all prisoners were just thrown away from prison. When they were frozen, and when the spring came in April, May, and the bodies melted, they were just put into the common grave. And around Kirov prison, there are 17 hills. These are common graves of bodies. There is also the Eduard Profittlich. And so we don't have his mortal remains, but it was his destiny. His life is martyrdom. And what was strange for me, when I looked these KGB documents in Russian language, there's a lot of papers, and one official asked in April 1942, please control, is he still alive or not? But why he started to control Profittlich, is he alive or not? And then it is handwritten that like he died in 22 February, before sentence carried out. And it was quite his life and martyrdom. But I really believe he stayed and had human dignity until the end. And I'm pretty sure that he helped a lot of others who died before him in the same cell. And unfortunately, we don't know with whom he shared this cell, and we don't know nothing about. Only the last document is from November, when he wrote a bill, and later on this confirmation of his death. But this is very, very, very short review, but I already see that I have been talking 1 hour. But very briefly about now this joy, and I don't want to end of these dramatic words, because making saints is a holy activity, and holiness is a joy, and we need to keep a joy. And I think that Profittlich himself would like that we are glad, we keep hope, and we keep faith, and we keep this peace, what was his apostolic motto. And this is why we are making saints. These are our heavenly friends. And I truly want that the same atmosphere will be also in Tallinn on 17 May, when Cardinal Schönborn, as the Pope's representative, will come to beatify Eduard Profittlich, the first bless for the Estonian Catholics, and next bless to the Universal Catholic Church. And I have been written here some beautiful sentences, but you already understand what does it mean to come and participate in this holy ceremony. We are gathering around the altar. We are joined with the Christ, with his saints, and it's really, really experience of holiness, but you don't experience every day, and that's why I'm inviting you. And the ceremony will be 2 hours, starting at 11, what I said, the same place, exactly the same place, where in 1993 John Paul II celebrated the Holy Mass, and now second time on the same place will be the Holy Mass. When Pope Francis visited 2018 Tallinn, it was another place, another square, but now really historic center to keep two saints together, because John Paul is already a saint. And 2 hours, and it will be very beautiful because organizers try to really think every flower and every song what will take place during this ceremony. We also have this official portrait which is covered until it will be announced by the cardinal. And maybe one interesting thing and quite recent information what I got 2 days ago. I mentioned you that the Profittlich, when he made the decisions to stay in Estonia, he wrote a letter to relatives. I'm staying here, and if I will believe in Christ, and when I will die, it will be my death in Christ. And this original letter will be original relic for our Holy Mass. It will be presented. Now, of course, we are bringing it by procession, and it will be present on stage during the Mass, because we don't have a mortal remains for relics, and this is valid. And last week I was in Vatican and they proved, yes, this original letter, last letter of Profittlich, should be presented next to altar. About program, as usually, we start a little bit before. We start 15 May, and our Dominican brothers and lay Dominicans organizing an event which will take place 26 hours. It is continuous reading for all Estonian victims of communism. We have a database. There is more than 22,000 names, and they continuously in theatre, it's next to a cathedral, readings and names, and why they are continuously reading, it's like a litany. It's like a spiritual action, not only reading names, and it's really commemorating these victims. And second thing is, like when it's mentioned, Mass will be on Saturday, 17. The Mass ends ecumenical prayer with different church representatives, when we pray for all souls who have been departed in Soviet time. Because, as I mentioned, he died in Kirov, there are common graves, and we really planned in 2019, 2020 to go to Russia, to Kirov, to make a pilgrim, to really pray all of these victims, but now it's impossible. And we are doing in Estonia with different representatives. In the end of Mass, we are really holding ecumenical prayer for all victims of communism. So these two events actually are connected. And yes, like usually, Friday evening, spiritual preparation, small concert in Cathedral Church will be open, adoration, pilgrims will come. We will have lots of pilgrims from Germany and Baltic states, and some groups also from Poland, and hopefully also in Finland. So on Friday, church is open, and everybody can come and really briefly be in this cathedral where was the last moment for his life, when he knelt in front of the altar. And Holy Mass, after the Holy Mass, we will have also pilgrims party. We don't announce it very publicly because we will make a pilgrim party in our church and church courtyard. And we expect for Holy Mass 3,000 people. It's too much, but the pilgrim groups and Catholics who will come to Tallinn and after the Mass are welcome to join. And anyway, people would like to visit the church, and we will have a cake and champagne and having party a little bit after the Holy Mass. And next day, Sunday, Thanksgiving Mass, as usually is done during beatification or canonization. So first spiritual preparation, Holy Mass, and then Thanksgiving. This is our program. And practical info, you can read our website. It's pretty good in several languages, Profittlich.eu. For Catholics, we ask to make a registration via internet. Or if you are coming by group in your parish, you can also make a group registration just writing to beatus@catholico.ee. We don't control tickets, but we need to know how many Catholics will be present to distribute Holy Communion. This is why we need just a general amount. How many Catholics will be? The town hall square is quite small, but we still have 800 seats. Others are standing, but I think this is quite deep and spiritual event. We don't even recognize it, but we try to do the really the best. And also one email address for press is my personal email, my everyday office email address, where you can write if you would like to come. And we make also live television transmission for Estonian television. So who cannot be participated can also look from television or internet, and we're sharing this materials also in our sites in Catholic.ee, Profittlich.ee. So everybody who would like to really look or participate, they can do it. But of course, another thing is to be present, and that is why I'm here also to communicate out. Please come to Tallinn. Beautiful day, I hope. I know it will be a beautiful day. No rain, please, no rain. No. But it will be a beautiful day, and please come and take place. And this is a story. This is a life. This is a martyrdom of Eduard Profittlich. He is my heavenly brother, and I hope he will be also for you. If you read and know more, I hope I can share this presentation with you, or you can upload somewhere, and if somebody wants to read and get this practical info, it is available. And maybe the last thing, but I really would like to tell you, please pray for him. You don't need any official prayer, of course we have. But if you are praying, he's listening, even with your words. And when I started to do this process, now I'm really ending my presentation on the